Healing begins with self-love and self-acceptance because the body responds first to the way you treat yourself on the inside. When you learn to soften your inner dialogue, the nervous system relaxes and the constant state of inner tension begins to dissolve. Self-love is not indulgence or ego. It is the decision to stop attacking yourself for being human. Every time you criticize yourself, your body contracts, holding stress in the muscles, organs, and cells. When you choose acceptance instead, the body receives permission to restore balance. Self-acceptance means embracing where you are without judgment, even if you wish things were different. It means recognizing that you did the best you could with the awareness you had at the time. This release of self-blame lifts a heavy emotional burden that the body has been carrying silently. Many physical discomforts persist not because the body refuses to heal, but because the mind refuses to stop punishing itself. As soon as that punishment ends, healing gains momentum. When you love yourself, you create an inner environment where healing feels safe. The body does not heal under threat. It heals in an atmosphere of compassion. Acceptance tells every cell that it no longer has to stay on guard. It signals that it is allowed to relax, regenerate, and realign with its natural rhythm. The moment you stop resisting yourself, the struggle within begins to quiet. Self-love also means listening to what your body is asking for rather than ignoring it. Fatigue, pain, and discomfort are not signs of failure. They are communications. Accepting yourself includes honoring rest, nourishment, and emotional honesty. As you respond to these needs with kindness instead of frustration, the body responds with cooperation rather than distress. The practice of self-acceptance transforms fear into understanding. Instead of asking, "What is wrong with me?" you begin to ask, "What part of me needs love right now?" This shift changes everything. Healing is no longer a battle to be won, but a relationship to be nurtured. The body begins to trust you when it feels seen and valued rather than judged. As self-love deepens, old emotional wounds start to loosen their grip. Stored resentment, guilt, and shame lose their power because they are no longer being reinforced by self-rejection. With each moment of acceptance, the body releases what it no longer needs to hold. Healing unfolds not because you forced it to happen, but because you stopped blocking it with resistance and self-criticism. The body responds directly to thoughts and emotions because it is always listening to the inner environment you create. Every thought carries a signal, and every emotion sends a chemical message that travels through the nervous system into the cells. When thoughts are filled with fear, worry, or self-judgment, the body tightens, preparing for danger that may not even exist. Over time, this constant state of alert becomes stored as tension, fatigue, or imbalance, not as punishment, but as a natural response to prolonged emotional strain. Emotions that are suppressed do not disappear, they settle into the body. Unexpressed anger can weigh on the muscles and joints. Unresolved sadness can affect the breath and the chest, and long-held anxiety can disturb digestion and sleep. The body becomes a mirror, reflecting the emotional patterns that the mind has repeated silently for years. When emotions are acknowledged and allowed to move, the body begins to shift as well, releasing what it has been holding. Thoughts shape perception, and perception shapes physical response. When the mind believes it is unsafe, unsupported, or unworthy, the body responds by conserving energy, tightening defenses, and limiting flow. When the mind begins to feel supported, calm, and accepted, the body receives a different message and responds with relaxation and renewal. This connection is constant, whether or not it is noticed, and the body never stops translating inner experiences into physical sensations. Repeated emotional states create familiar pathways within the body. Stress that is revisited daily teaches the body to remain tense even in moments of rest. Gentle, reassuring thoughts gradually retrain the body to release and trust again. As thoughts soften, muscles loosen, breath deepens, and the internal systems begin to function with greater harmony. The body learns from repetition, and it responds faithfully to what the mind practices most. When compassion replaces criticism, the body no longer feels the need to protect itself. Emotional safety allows the immune system, digestion, and circulation to operate more smoothly. The body thrives when it is not bracing against inner conflict. By choosing thoughts that calm rather than alarm, and emotions that are expressed rather than suppressed, the body is given the conditions it needs to restore balance and resilience. As awareness grows, it becomes clear that healing does not start in the body alone, but in the patterns of thought that shape emotional experience. Each loving thought eases the nervous system, and each acknowledged emotion lightens the physical load the body has been carrying in silence. Symptoms are messages, not punishments, because the body communicates in the only language it has available to express imbalance, unmet needs, or emotional overload. When something within has been ignored for too long, the body speaks up through sensation, discomfort, or disruption. This is not an act of betrayal, but an attempt to protect and guide. The body does not seek to harm, it seeks to restore balance by drawing attention to what requires care and awareness. Each symptom carries meaning shaped by personal experience, emotional patterns, and long-held beliefs. Physical discomfort often reflects areas of life where pressure has been endured without release or where feelings have been suppressed to maintain control or approval. The body stores these experiences quietly until it can no longer compensate, and then it signals that something needs to change. Listening to symptoms with curiosity rather than fear opens the door to understanding instead of resistance. Punishment implies judgment, yet the body does not judge. It responds honestly and faithfully to what it has been asked to carry. When stress is constant, rest is ignored, or emotions are denied, the body adapts until adaptation is no longer possible. Symptoms arise as a request for attention, inviting a pause, a shift, or a new way of relating to oneself. Seeing symptoms as enemies only deepens the struggle, while seeing them as guidance softens the response. When symptoms are met with compassion, their intensity often begins to change. Fear tightens the body, but understanding relaxes it. As awareness replaces blame, the body no longer has to amplify its message to be heard. Many symptoms persist not because the body refuses to heal, but because their message has not yet been acknowledged or respected. The body uses symptoms to redirect awareness back to the present moment, asking for gentleness, rest, or emotional honesty. It reminds you to slow down, to release what has been held too long, or to care for yourself in ways that have been postponed. Symptoms highlight where self-neglect has replaced self-care, offering an opportunity to rebuild a kinder relationship with the body. By interpreting symptoms as messages rather than punishments, the relationship with the body transforms from conflict to cooperation. Healing becomes a process of listening, responding, and adjusting with patience and respect. The body responds positively when it feels understood, supported, and no longer judged for the signals it sends. Forgiveness is essential for true healing because unresolved emotional pain creates a constant state of inner tension that the body is forced to carry. When resentment, guilt, or anger is held over time, the nervous system remains activated, keeping the body in a cycle of defense and stress. This prolonged emotional contraction disrupts natural balance and limits the body's ability to repair and renew itself. Forgiveness is not about excusing behavior or denying hurt. It is about freeing the body from the burden of carrying emotional weight that no longer serves survival or well-being. Holding on to past grievances binds the present to experiences that have already passed. The body does not recognize time the way the mind does. It reacts as though old wounds are still happening now. Each remembered offense reactivates the same physical responses, tightening muscles, restricting breath, and exhausting vital energy. Forgiveness interrupts this cycle by allowing the body to release the stored tension connected to those memories. Self-forgiveness is just as vital as forgiving others. Many imbalances are reinforced by harsh self-judgment and repeated self-blame for perceived mistakes or failures. When the inner voice remains critical, the body stays in a state of contraction, as if under constant threat. Forgiving yourself creates emotional safety, signaling to the body that it is no longer under attack from within. Forgiveness softens resistance and restores flow. Emotional rigidity often manifests physically as stiffness, pain, or fatigue. As forgiveness is practiced, emotional rigidity loosens and the body begins to respond with increased ease and flexibility. This shift allows energy to move more freely through the system, supporting natural processes of healing and regeneration. Letting go does not happen all at once. It unfolds gently through willingness. Even the intention to forgive begins to ease the emotional load. The body responds to this willingness by gradually releasing what it has been holding in protection. Each small act of forgiveness creates space for peace to replace tension and clarity to replace emotional congestion. True healing requires emotional resolution, not suppression. Forgiveness brings unresolved experiences to completion, allowing the body to return to a state of balance rather than reliving old patterns of stress. As forgiveness deepens, the body no longer needs to express emotional pain through physical symptoms because the underlying cause has been acknowledged and released. Gentle awareness heals more than force because the body responds best to patience, understanding, and calm attention rather than pressure or urgency. When healing is approached with force, the body perceives it as another demand, another expectation it must meet in order to be acceptable. This creates resistance instead of relief, tightening the very systems that need to soften in order to heal. Gentle awareness, on the other hand, invites the body into safety, where change can occur naturally. Awareness without judgment allows sensations, emotions, and thoughts to surface without fear of being rejected or corrected. When discomfort is observed with kindness rather than impatience, the nervous system begins to settle. The body no longer needs to protect itself against inner criticism. This state of calm presence creates the conditions in which healing responses are activated rather than suppressed. Force attempts to control outcomes, often driven by fear or desperation to fix what feels wrong. This mindset keeps attention focused on the problem, reinforcing stress and urgency. Gentle awareness shifts focus toward listening and understanding, allowing the body to reveal what it needs in its own time. Healing becomes a conversation rather than a battle. When you slow down and simply notice what is happening within, subtle signals become clear. The body communicates through sensation, rhythm, and energy, but these messages are often missed when attention is harsh or demanding. Gentle awareness makes space for these messages to be received, respected, and responded to appropriately. The body learns through experience, not coercion. Repeated moments of calm observation teach the body that it is safe to release tension and move toward balance. Over time, this trust builds and healing deepens without effort or struggle. The absence of force allows natural intelligence to guide the process rather than fear-driven control. As awareness becomes more compassionate, the body mirrors that compassion by relaxing and restoring itself. Healing unfolds as a gradual return to harmony, supported by presence, patience, and acceptance rather than pressure or resistance. Words and affirmations reprogram the body because language shapes the signals the mind sends to every system within. Each word carries emotional weight and meaning, and the body responds to that meaning as instruction. When words are harsh, limiting, or fearful, the body interprets them as stress, activating protective responses that restrict flow and balance. When words are kind, supportive, and reassuring, the body receives permission to relax, repair, and realign. Affirmations work through repetition and feeling rather than force. The body learns patterns the same way it learns habits, through consistent exposure. When a new supportive message is introduced repeatedly, the nervous system begins to adjust to this new instruction. Muscles soften, breath deepens, and internal rhythms start to change in response to the emotional tone behind the words. The body does not analyze truth in. The way the logical mind does, it responds to emotional certainty. When affirmations are spoken with sincerity and gentleness, the body accepts them as a new reality. Over time, these messages replace old internal dialogues that may have been filled with criticism, fear, or doubt. As the inner language shifts, physical responses shift as well. Words spoken internally are just as powerful as those spoken aloud. The silent conversations repeated throughout the day continually reinforce certain bodily states. By choosing affirmations that express safety, love, and trust, the body is guided toward those experiences. Each loving phrase acts as a calming signal, gradually retraining the body to operate from ease rather than tension. Affirmations are most effective when they are compassionate rather than demanding. Statements that acknowledge the present moment while gently guiding toward balance are received more readily by the body. This approach avoids resistance and builds trust, allowing the body to cooperate with the healing process instead of defending against pressure. As affirmations become familiar, they form new emotional associations within the body. Old stress responses lose their dominance as supportive words create new patterns of response. Through consistent, mindful language, the body is gradually reprogrammed to reflect harmony, resilience, and well-being. Letting go of blame restores balance because blame keeps the mind and body locked in a state of tension and separation. When blame is directed outward, the body remains alert, defensive, and prepared for conflict. When blame is directed inward, the body experiences constant pressure as if it must continuously justify its existence. In both cases, the nervous system stays activated, preventing the natural rhythms of rest, repair, and renewal from functioning fully. Blame freezes energy in the past. The body reacts to remembered events as though they are still unfolding, replaying emotional stress through tightened muscles, shallow breathing, and restricted flow. Each time blame is revisited, the body relives the original experience. Releasing blame allows the body to return to the present moment, where balance and regulation are possible. When blame is released, responsibility is not denied, but transformed. Instead of focusing on fault, attention shifts toward understanding and growth. This shift softens internal resistance and creates space for healing responses to emerge. The body responds positively to this change, easing tension and restoring a sense of inner stability. Self-blame is especially disruptive to balance because it turns the mind against the body. Harsh inner judgment communicates danger and rejection, signaling the body to remain guarded. As self-blame dissolves, emotional safety is restored, allowing the body to relax its defenses. This relaxation supports circulation, digestion, and immune function, which all depend on a calm internal environment. Letting go of blame also restores balance in emotional relationships. As resentment fades, emotional weight lifts, and the body no longer needs to carry the burden of unresolved conflict. Emotional release often leads to physical relief because the body is no longer holding stress in anticipation of emotional defense. Balance returns naturally when blame is replaced with compassion and awareness. Without the constant pressure of fault-finding, the body can reorganize itself toward harmony, responding to gentler emotional cues rather than chronic tension. The body is intelligent and cooperative, constantly working to maintain balance and protect life, even when its efforts are misunderstood. Every system within the body functions with precision, adjusting moment by moment in response to internal and external conditions. When challenges arise, the body does not give up. It adapts, compensates, and finds ways to keep functioning despite stress, emotional strain, or neglect. This intelligence is evident in how the body heals cuts, regulates temperature, balances hormones, and restores equilibrium without conscious direction. It is always responding to the information it receives from thoughts, emotions, and environment. When given supportive signals, the body responds willingly, aligning itself with health rather than resisting it. The body's cooperation is often mistaken for failure when symptoms appear, yet symptoms themselves are signs of intelligent response. They indicate that the body is attempting to correct imbalance, eliminate excess, or draw attention to unmet needs. Rather than acting against you, the body is communicating in the most effective way it knows how. When trust is established, the body responds with greater ease, speaking kindly to the body, honoring its signals, and allowing rest when needed strengthen this cooperative relationship. As trust replaces fear, the body no longer needs to amplify its messages through discomfort. It becomes more efficient in its self-regulating processes. Resistance creates confusion within the system, while cooperation enhances clarity. When the mind stops fighting the body and begins working with it, healing becomes a shared process rather than a struggle. The body responds to patience, consistency, and gentle encouragement far more effectively than to pressure or urgency. By recognizing the body as intelligent, a partnership is formed. This partnership allows natural healing mechanisms to function without interference, guided by an innate wisdom that has always been present and responsive to care and understanding. Willingness opens the door to healing because it represents the moment when resistance begins to soften and the body is longer asked to heal under pressure. Willingness does not demand immediate change. It simply allows the possibility of change to exist. This gentle shift in attitude signals the nervous system that it is safe to relax, and safety is the foundation upon which all healing is built. When a person is unwilling, the body often remains guarded, holding on to familiar patterns even when they are uncomfortable. These patterns persist not because healing is impossible, but because the system is protecting itself from the unknown. Willingness tells the body that exploration is allowed, that new responses can be tried without fear of failure or punishment. Even a small amount of willingness can create movement. The body responds to intention before it responds to action. Saying internally, "I'm open to healing," begins to change emotional chemistry, easing tension, and inviting balance. This openness allows old beliefs and habits to loosen their grip, creating space for healthier patterns to emerge. Willingness also brings compassion into the process. Instead of forcing outcomes, it encourages patience and self-trust. The body responds to this kindness by cooperating more fully, gradually releasing what it has been holding in defense. Healing unfolds naturally when it is not rushed or controlled. Resistance often comes from fear of change or fear of letting go of familiar identities built around struggle. Willingness acknowledges this fear without allowing it to dominate. By choosing openness over resistance, the body receives reassurance that it will not be pushed beyond its capacity. As willingness deepens, the body begins to align with the intention to heal. Subtle shifts occur in breath, posture, and internal rhythm, reflecting a system that is no longer closed to change, but gently welcoming it. Wholeness is your natural state because at the core of your being, you are complete, balanced, and undivided. From the moment of your existence, every cell, every system, and every function of your body is designed to operate in harmony, to maintain life, and to restore itself when disrupted. Illness, discomfort, and imbalance are not signs of inherent deficiency. They are signals that certain aspects of awareness, belief, or attention have become misaligned with the natural state of wholeness that is always present. The mind often creates the illusion of separation, telling you that you are lacking, broken, or incomplete. These thoughts create tension in the body and emotional unrest, convincing the nervous system that it must compensate or defend against imaginary threats. Yet beneath these layers of thought and habit, the body and soul remain whole, always capable of returning to EQ. Equilibrium. When the mind and heart allow it, every experience, every challenge, and every perceived limitation is an opportunity to remember this truth rather than evidence of imperfection. Wholeness does not depend on circumstances, achievements, or external validation. It is an innate condition, patiently waiting to be acknowledged and embraced. When you stop resisting what is and start accepting your present experience, the layers of tension and fragmentation begin to dissolve. The body itself is a reflection of wholeness. It possesses the wisdom to regulate, repair, and restore balance, even when it appears disrupted. Emotional, mental, and physical systems are intricately interconnected, each part supporting the other. When you honor and listen to your body, your mind, and your emotions with compassion, you align with the intelligence that maintains wholeness naturally. Wholeness is also a state of consciousness. It is the awareness that nothing is truly missing, that you are not separate from the life force within or around you, and that every aspect of your being is contributing to a greater harmony. As you release resistance, self-criticism, and fear, this natural state begins to express itself through energy, vitality, clarity, and emotional ease. Remembering wholeness is a process of unfolding rather than acquiring. Each moment of self-love, forgiveness, acceptance, and presence peels away layers of doubt and fragmentation. The body relaxes, the mind clears, and the heart opens, revealing that wholeness was never lost, only obscured by patterns of fear, judgment, and neglect. In conclusion, the journey of healing begins and ends with you. Every thought you think, every word you speak, and every emotion you honor shapes the landscape of your body, mind, and spirit. Healing is not a battle to be won through force or struggle, but a gentle unfolding that occurs when you choose self-love, awareness, forgiveness, and acceptance. Your body, your mind, and your soul are intelligent, cooperative, and naturally inclined toward balance and wholeness. By letting go of blame, releasing fear, embracing compassion, and opening yourself to the possibility of change, you allow the natural intelligence within you to guide the process. Symptoms are messages, not punishments. Every challenge is an opportunity to realign with the inherent wisdom and harmony that is your birthright. Words, affirmations, and gentle attention nurture this process, gradually reprogramming the body to reflect the love, safety, and peace that you choose to offer yourself. Remember, healing is gentle, natural, and complete when you permit it to be. Trust yourself. Trust your body. Trust the process. Wholeness is not something to be earned or achieved. It is your natural state, patiently waiting for you to recognize it, embrace it, and allow it to flow freely through every part of your being. Your willingness, your love, and your awareness open the door, and once opened, healing unfolds effortlessly, completely, and beautifully.